biggest conflicts I've had with my children in looking back were the choices that they made and not allowing them to make their own choices without criticism from me sometimes, from us. Well, if I were you, I'd do it differently. And talk about undermining their self-esteem. There was no way that they could win. And I regret that.
The nature of a conflict depends upon the perceptions of the people who are in the conflict. And, of course, no two people have exactly the same point of view. No two people have heard the same sermon during the same family reunion. The list of things which can make a difference in our point of view goes on and on. Age, experience, general health, what I had for lunch, my spiritual maturity, temperament. The list is endless. The only way to assure that two people are really communicating is for them to reflect together in sufficient detail to reach a shared conclusion. A lot of details required, a lot of give and take.
I avoided conflicts with anybody. I wouldn't let my sisters see the anger that I had at them. And the only conflicts I ever had were at school, and as a kid, I'd just hit whoever was bothering me. That tomboy came out and just hit him. And then later, it was like I was so frightened of conflicts, I didn't want to face anybody. I hid from conflicts. I still do in a lot of ways. Somebody makes me angry or somebody does something to upset me, and I'll walk away and go scream at a wall or do something like that instead of face them and say, hey, I don't like that, don't do that.
The fear of open disagreement can come out in more than one way. The following segments show 4 different ways of dealing with the same issue. Kevin Huggins will help us evaluate the process.
Hey, bud, how was your practice today?
Fine, I guess.
Yeah, well, listen, Ricky, before we head home, there are a couple of things I'd like to clear up.
Dad, could we just drive? I've got a lot to do tonight.
Yeah, well, actually, no, we can't just drive. You've been in a foul mood for a couple of weeks, and I'd like to see what's going on.
Dad, it doesn't do any good to talk about it. Nothing ever changes. Let's just go.
What do you mean nothing ever changes? Since when did you let me know anything was wrong? What, am I supposed to be a mind reader?
I'm just sick and tired of being treated like a baby. I'm the only one of my friends who never gets to do anything. I'm just sick of it.
I don't know what you mean. Your mother and I worked very hard to give you and your brother everything you need and most of what you want. You think it's easy working 60 hours a week to provide you what you need?
I wouldn't know.
You don't see half of what your mother and I do for you, and I'd appreciate just a little bit of consideration.
It's not that, Dad. You just don't understand. All I'm saying is I never get to do anything.
Oh, I see. A trip to Disney World's nothing. Camp is nothing. The lake
Dad,
is nothing.
You're missing the point. Everybody but me is going to the Disney ride.
No. We've talked about this already, Ricky. And you're just not going to give up on this, are you? You're not ready for a thing like that. And I think this conversation proves it. You face all kinds of things at a dance that we think you're just not ready to handle. You know, I don't know, Rick. You have to have everything your way in the world. It just doesn't work like that. Look at me, Ricky. Look at me. Look at your mother, will you please? Do you think we get everything that we want?
Well, now we're seeing a method of handling conflict that parents often use called silence by shaming. And again, the goal of the parent is not to understand the adolescent, understand what's going on. Why is this dance so important to him? But the goal is either to silence him or to get him to agree. And if he does agree, it's only going to be a superficial agreement at best. But he's successfully silencing his adolescent, so his adolescent may not bring this up anymore, but it'll continue to be an issue. It'll continue to be something that will disturb him on the inside. Here we see a dad he's overusing that golf club we were talking about of lecturing.
I don't know what you mean. Your mother and I worked very hard to give you and your brother everything you need and most of what you want.
Just clubbing his kid with it and making him feel ashamed of himself for being unappreciative, ungrateful.
All I'm saying is I never get to do anything.
Oh, I see. A trip to Disney World's nothing. Camp is nothing. The lake
Dad,
is nothing.
You're missing the point.
For being immature irresponsible, just throwing anything at him to make him feel just so shameful for even making this an issue.
Look at me. Look at your mother, will you please? Do you think we get everything that we want?
Till the kid finally just is tortured so much he gives up.
Why do you think a dad would use that strategy?
Well, perhaps he's feeling out of control. You know, he can control everything at the office. He can make everybody happy, keep everybody pleased. He's kind of got his wife in line. But there's this one area of his life he cannot control, and that is he's got a pouty teenager around the house. He's got this teenager that's, you know, walking around with this long face and kind of grunting and that, and he can't stand to have a part of his world out of control. So his way of restoring control is to silence this kid by shaming him, or at least getting him to conform more to appropriate behavior by making him feel so ashamed of himself.
This boy's a young adolescent. If nothing changes, what does this look like in mid-adolescence?
Mid to late adolescence, we're going to see more and more defiance. Perhaps, though, underground defiance. Because this kid may be so convinced that he can't go up against his dad directly, so he'll get to him in indirect ways. Maybe he'll intentionally let his grades drop. Maybe he will intentionally go out and get arrested. You know, working with a kid not too long ago that got arrested shoplifting on purpose in order to embarrass his dad. There's a lot of ways this kid could get back at his dad, either directly or indirectly, and we're setting him up to look for revenge by using this method, silence by shaming.
Oh, that was quick.
What?
Ricky, my goodness, I just wanted my change back.
But don't be so impatient. I just got here.
Ooh, what is with this attitude? You have been like this for days.
Mom, do we have to start? It doesn't do any good to talk about it. Nothing ever changes. Let's just eat and go.
All right, that's the way you want it. I just wasn't aware that anything needed changing. What is wrong with you, honey?
Oh, man. Okay, will you listen?
Of course I will listen. It would break my heart if I thought you thought I wasn't...
I've been in a bad mood because I'm just sick of being the only one who doesn't get to do anything. Like going to the dance Friday. You guys treat me like a baby.
I don't mean to treat you like a baby. I try very hard to remember that you're growing up, and you are. You're a fine young man, and your dad and I are very proud of you. But there are a lot of things going on in this world, and we just want to protect you. I don't know what I'd do if I'd lose you. I know you need to gain your independence, but it's very hard for a mother to see her baby growing away from her. Oh, Ricky, I know it is hard for you, but it's hard for me, too. I don't think you'll ever know until you're a parent how it hurts to see your child disappointed. It's very hard.
I'm sorry, Mother. I'm sorry I brought it up. You should just give it up. I know. Jeez, please.
Kevin, what would you say is going on between the mom and the son in this segment?
Well, we certainly see some conflict going on. And we see a style of parenting where the mom is handling the conflict by blackmailing, in a sense, her son. This would be a method of handling conflict I call silence by blackmailing. And that is this, that when your teenager brings up something that's kind of causing conflict, you subtly or not so subtly convince them that you're fragile or vulnerable, and in some way what they're doing to you is causing you pain, and so they're going to have to drop it, or else they could hurt you as a parent. So you convince them by emotional blackmail. The fact is that I'm going to hurt so much if you don't drop this, that they finally drop it. But it's not really dropped in the sense that it becomes a non-issue for the teenager. It's still very much an issue for him. But now he's going to stuff it. He's going to start hiding it inside, and most likely it'll turn into some kind of hardened anger, some kind of bitterness, because now he's dropped it. So the mom has successfully got him to silence himself, but she really hasn't dealt with any of the underlying needs going on in this adolescent.
Richard, this has got to stop.
What?
Don't do this to me. Don't take that attitude. You will listen to me respectfully, and you will talk to me respectfully. Is that understood?
Yeah, whatever.
Richard, is that understood?
Yes, I understand. Can we just get on with it?
Want to know what's going on here. Why are you so moody? Why are you making your family pay for your unhappiness? What has gotten into you lately?
I really don't want to start this. It's not going to do any good. It never does.
How can you say that? We've got a rapport going here. This is your chance, Buster. You tell me what's going on and let's see what we can do about it. Otherwise, it's time to straighten up, fly right. Ricky, you're not a baby anymore.
Then why do you keep treating me like one?
Meaning? Can you get a little more specific?
Meaning I still don't understand why I don't get to go to the dance Friday. I think that stinks.
Oh, okay. Now it's getting clear. Just how many times are we going to have to go over this? Did I stutter? Maybe I was talking too fast. You're not going to the dance! Emotionally, you're not mature enough to handle it. Good Lord, son, look at you now. I mean, if you can't handle a little bit of disappointment with the people who love you, just how do you expect to handle peer pressure? Richard, are you reading me? Is that a yes? Good. Now we can go on. Now, I want to know what else is going on in there. I know it's got to be more than that stupid dance. What is it, son? Come on, what is it? What's got you moping around here like some weepy-eyed little girl? Go on, son. We've got a connection here. What is it?
Dad, I just feel yelled at all the time.
How's it going, you two? Dinner's almost ready.
Well, Ruth, I just don't know. Richard here feels yelled at. I'm thinking here, and I just don't know. I haven't heard any yelling. Have you?
Nobody's yelling at you, honey. We love you. You know that.
Son, I think that if I were yelling, you'd know about it. Now, if you went yelling, I'll give it to you. And I'll tell you something, mister. If you don't get hold of yourself, you're going to hear some yelling and a whole lot more. Ruth, I think we're ready. Come on, son. Wash up.
Kevin, the mom says, Rick, we love you. You know that. Do you think he knows that?
He probably is not sure what she means by that. He's probably hearing it as some kind of manipulative sentence to get him to just kind of drop this issue and not say bad things about him. At this point, he's probably not taking it serious as any kind of affirmation of their love. He's just been overpowered by his dad. You know, everything in that segment showed that the dad's intention was to silence his son by overpowering. First, he puts this big desk between the two of them. And then he talks down to him, points his finger at him. At one point, he calls the mom in to kind of stand up with him so it's 2 against 1. And when all else fails, he raises his voice and yells at the kid. And what the dad's trying to convince the son here is if you go up against me, son, if you don't conform, if you don't be what I want you to be, you're going to be destroyed by me. At least you're going to be so hurt that you're going to be sorry. So he's raising the ante, in a sense, for the kid to keep expressing the fact that he's not happy with his mom and dad's decision not to let him go to the dance.
What's the outcome of that, long range?
Long range, the son could do any number of things. This kind of kid sometimes will resort to running away. Maybe even suicide will cross his mind as a way to get back at mom and dad. Maybe he'll stand up as he gets physically larger. He'll start standing up to dad and going head-to-head or toe-to-toe with him. Perhaps, though, he'll resort to the indirect methods of expressing his anger.
Why does a parent go to that strategy?
It's a parent that's full of fear. It's a parent that's convinced that life depends on getting this kid to do what he doesn't want to do. And he's convinced he's going to do it at any cost. He wants to convince the kid that he's really stronger than he is. But it's interesting that whenever a parent loses their temper, whenever they blow up like this dad did, really what they're convincing their son is that they're really too weak to handle reality.
What's up?
Nothing, Mom.
Come on.
Just doesn't do any good to talk about it.
Try me. I want to know what's going on. If I can help, I'll help. I can't do anything if you don't talk about it.
You're gonna kill me if I bring it up again.
I am not going to kill you. If you're this worked up about something, then obviously we haven't finished with it, so...
So I'm gonna be mad if you kill me.
Richard!
Okay, I'm talking. It's the dance, okay? It's not fair. I've thought about it, and there's not one good reason why I can't go.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't even like to dance, do you?
Mother, that's not the point.
Okay, then what is the point?
The point is that all my friends are going. I'm gonna be the only one that's not there. I'm just tired of being the only one who can't do anything. It's embarrassing, okay?
Okay. What is so embarrassing?
Well, it's like I already feel weird because I go to church, and things are hard enough without being so different.
And going to the dance is going to fix that?
Well, no, but look, I'm trying to make some friends, but how can I when I'm never with them? It's just not fair. Guys are too strict.
Okay, let me get this straight. If we let you go to the dance, then that will be the key to your social life, and you won't feel weird anymore.
Yes, and I won't ask you for anything else my entire life.
Yeah, right. But the fact still remains that you don't even like to dance. What are you going to do all the time? Dad and I just aren't nuts about you hanging around for 2 hours.
Are you saying I can go? Come on, please say yes.
Saying we'll talk.
You and Dad?
No. You and Dad and me. It's the Dad time that I'm concerned about. But if it's supervised and you know how to get in touch with us if you need to, then...
Going to the dance.
We'll talk. I want to talk about why you feel weird about going to church.
Can I go to Pizza Hut afterwards? Can you guys pick me up there?
Don't push it. You're not even there yet.
Okay. When is Dad getting home?
Later. I want to talk about church. Can you help me with this?
Yeah, but...
What is it that makes you feel so weird about it?
I don't know. It's the atmosphere.
There's so much going on there in that segment. We see some real positive things now happening between the mother and the son. Although we see the mom coming treacherously close, in a sense, to maybe falling into another unhealthy way to handle conflict. And that is silence by appeasing. Now, if the mom's position was to just let him go in order to finally end this conflict, that wouldn't be healthy. Maybe there are some good points that mom and dad have about whether this is a good situation or not for the teenager to go to. They may have some real good points about that. But to just let the teenager go because they want to end the conflict is a matter of just appeasing him. And they'll face this time and time again. Anytime he wants his way, then he'll just blow up and make a fuss and has learned he can get his way that way. What I like, though, that she's doing, she's coming close to that, but she hasn't fallen into appeasing him. But what she's doing now is she's starting to talk to him about what his need is. Why is he making such a big deal about this? If you notice that she's fallen into this more healthy pattern of handling conflict, first by changing her goal. Right away, her goal was not to silence her son, but to understand him. And that's how she approached the whole thing, and that set it up to go differently. First thing she tried to do was to clarify what his goal was. What are you really trying to accomplish? You know, you don't even like to dance. You can't even dance. Why is this important? And she got some important information by clarifying his goal. Now, the next thing she'd have to do, if she wanted to keep handling this well, is start to enter into some of his pain. He used the word embarrassment. Now, there's a whole lot of pain under that word. And the mom hasn't even begun to get into that pain and understand it and feel it with her son. In fact, she's treating him kind of matter-of-factly, kind of briskly here, which may be good at first. But ultimately, she'll want to enter that pain and feel, what does it feel like to be embarrassed with all your friends, to have no one that's like you, to feel like you're weird or strange or you stand out as being different from everybody else? What's that really feel like? Maybe she can think back to a time she felt that way and start to feel his pain. But what I do like about what she's doing here, she responds to the SOS he's sending out. He's really sending out a signal saying, there's things going on with my friends, and Mom, Dad, I need your help. I need more freedom. I need more privileges. If I'm going to have a peer group, if I'm going to be accepted, I'm going to need freedom to do more things. SOS. And she's starting to respond now. And she's starting to say, well, now maybe there's a way that we can give you some more freedom or privileges to accomplish this, but it's going to have to be done carefully. We're going to want to make sure it's the right circumstances, the right situation. So I like the fact that she's responding to his SOS. It already feels a relief, like a ton of pressure's been taken off his shoulders.
What do you think Rick, the son, has learned in this interchange?
Well, we see at the very beginning what he had learned was that if he brings something up more than once, he's going to get smashed. And that's what he said at the beginning. Mom says, now let's talk about what's bothering you. And he said, oh, you'll just get mad at me again. So he had learned an important lesson from his mom and dad, and that is, don't cause conflict. But as the time goes on, as they begin to talk, he's starting to learn now, maybe Mom really does care about how I feel. Maybe Mom and Dad really are safe to talk to.
One of the greatest social skills we can offer our children is the ability to honestly resolve disagreements. The simplest conflict can escalate into a major crisis with a minimum of effort from either side. But just as surely, any conflict can become the context for growth, if we want it to be. God grant us the willingness to want that kind of growth.
I resolved that by really looking at what was going on with her and I both, and starting to understand that communication is really important. I mean, she needs to understand why. You know, if I'm just going to demand something and not have it out of love, not have it out of God-centeredness, then of course there's going to be defenses. But if we can sit down and we can communicate about it, even at age 13, they have feelings. They're real. You know, I need to hear them too.